Captain Marcus Elias walked through the long metal halls of Harmony Prime Station. His boots made loud sounds on the floor. The station was huge, bigger than any city he had ever seen. Ships came and went from its many docks every day. People, from 12 different worlds, lived and worked here together. But Elias was not thinking about the amazing station. His mind was on the reports in his bag. 27 human colonies had gone quiet in the last 6 months. No messages, no calls for help, just silence. He stopped at a big window and looked out at space. Stars filled the black sky like tiny lights. Somewhere out there, people were missing. Whole towns of humans had just disappeared, and nobody seemed to care. The council meeting room was at the end of the hall. Elias could hear voices inside. They were talking about trade deals and shipping routes. Important things, they would say. More important than missing people on faraway worlds. Elias pushed open the heavy door. The room was round with seats going up like steps. Each seat had a different alien sitting in it. The Zentari looked like tall birds with 4 arms. The Kalari had blue skin and big eyes. The Thraxans were covered in thick scales. At the center of the room stood a human woman. Commander Helen Torres was his second in command. She had been waiting for him. Her face was tight with worry. "Captain," she said quietly. "They have been talking about grain prices for 2 hours." Elias nodded. He walked to the speaking area in the middle of the room. The aliens kept talking among themselves. Some looked at him with bored eyes. Others did not look at all. Ambassador Cathera of the Zentari waved one of her long arms. Her voice was high and sharp. "Captain Elias, you have 5 minutes. We have real business to discuss today." Elias set down his bag. He pulled out a small device and pressed a button. The air above his head filled with light. Pictures appeared floating. In the room, they showed maps of space with red dots marking each missing colony. "These are human settlements," Elias began. His voice was calm but strong. "Each red dot is a place where people lived. Families, children, workers trying to make new homes on new worlds." The floating pictures changed. Now they showed empty buildings and quiet streets. "This is New Denver, population 12,000. Last message 3 weeks ago. When our ships arrived, they found empty houses. Food still on tables, but no people. Some of the aliens leaned forward in their seats. Others looked at their own small computers, checking messages from home. This is Haven Point," Elias continued. The pictures showed a farming town. 8,000 people. They grew food for 3 other worlds. Their last message said strange ships were coming from dark space. Then nothing. Ambassador Cathara made a sound like a bird clicking its beak. "Captain, space is dangerous. These colonies were far from help. Pirates attack, equipment fails, people die." "Not like this," Elias said. He pressed another button. New pictures appeared. They showed pieces of destroyed ships floating in space. "Our investigation teams found these. The metal has been torn apart at the smallest level. This is not pirate work." Commander Torres stepped forward. She had her own computer in her hands. "The pattern is always the same," she said. "First, the colony loses contact with other worlds. All their communication stops working. Then their defense systems go offline. Finally, every living thing disappears." The room became quiet. Some aliens whispered to each other in their own languages. Counselor Vex of the Kalari spoke up. His blue face showed doubt. "Commander, you speak of patterns, but space accidents happen. Equipment breaks. People make mistakes." Elias shook his head. "Sir, I have been a soldier for 20 years. I know the difference between accidents and attacks. Something is hunting human colonies. Something that knows exactly how we build our defenses, how we call for help, how we fight." He pressed his device again. This time the pictures showed star maps. Lines connected the missing colonies. "Look at the timing. Look at the locations. Whatever is doing this moves in a clear path. It is not random. It is planned." Ambassador Cathera stood up. Her 4 arms moved as she talked. "Captain, humans have always been worried about dangers that do not exist. You see enemies in every shadow, These colonies failed because they were not strong enough to survive. Other aliens nodded. Some made sounds of agreement. "We cannot spend council money on human fears," said Councillor Thex of the Thraxans. His scaled face showed no feeling. "There are real problems to solve, trade disputes, border agreements, actual threats." Elias felt anger rise in his chest, but he kept his voice steady. "Councillors, these are not fears. These are facts. 27 colonies. Over 200,000 people, all gone without a trace. Perhaps they left," suggested Councillor Vex. "Perhaps they found better worlds." Commander Torres stepped closer to the center. "Sir, they left behind everything: homes, machines, personal items. Parents do not leave their children's toys behind when they move to better worlds." The council members looked at each other. Some seemed uncomfortable, others looked bored. Ambassador Cathara spoke for the group. "Captain Elias, we understand your concern. The council will assign 3 patrol ships to investigate these disappearances. We will also create a committee to study the reports." 3 ships? Elias could not hide his shock. "Counselor, we need a full fleet. We need scientists. We need to focus on real problems," Cathara interrupted. "The budget for this year is already decided. 3 ships and a committee are what we can offer." Elias looked around the room. He saw closed minds and busy schedules. These aliens had their own worlds to worry about. Human problems were just that, human problems. "The committee will meet next month," added Councillor Thex. "Perhaps by then you will have found normal explanations for these disappearances." The meeting was over. The aliens went back to talking about grain prices and shipping costs. Real business, as they called it. Elias packed his device and reports. Commander Torres walked beside him as they left the room. Neither spoke until they were in the hallway. "They will not help us," Torres said quietly. "No," Elias agreed. "They will not." At the end of the hall, another human waited for them. Captain Jake Morrison commanded the destroyer ship Defiant. His face was hard with anger. "I heard," Morrison said. 3 patrol ships and a committee." Elias nodded. "The same story as always, Jake. Humans stand alone." Morrison's hand touched the weapon at his side. "Maybe it is time we remembered how to stand." The 3 humans walked toward the docking bays where their ships waited. Behind them, the council continued its important meeting about grain prices. But in the dark spaces between the stars, something was moving. Something that had been watching and learning and waiting. And humanity was about to discover that sometimes the thing you fear most is the thing that has been hunting you all along. 6 weeks had passed since the council meeting. Captain Marcus Elias stood on the bridge of his ship, the Resolute. Through the big front window, he could see only darkness and distant stars. They were flying toward the edge of human space where the newest colony had gone silent. The ship felt different now. His crew moved with quiet purpose. Everyone knew they were flying into danger with no help coming. The council had given them 3 old patrol ships, just as promised. But Elias had convinced 2 other captains to join him anyway. Captain Jake Morrison flew beside them in his destroyer, the Defiant. The ship was smaller than the Resolute, but faster and better armed. Morrison was a good fighter. Elias trusted him to watch their backs. The 3rd ship was the Discovery, a science vessel, commanded by Dr. Lisa Hamilton. She was not a soldier, but her ship had the best sensors and computers. If they were going to learn about their enemy, they would need her help. Lieutenant Alex Carter sat at the weapons station. He looked up from his screen with worry on his face. "Captain, we are picking up strange readings ahead. Metal pieces floating in space where no ships should be." Elias walked over to look at the screen. Green dots showed pieces of something scattered across a wide area. "How big are these pieces?" "Small, sir. But there are thousands of them. The computer says the metal is human-made." Commander Helen Torres came onto the bridge. She had been studying reports from other missing colonies. Her face was pale. "Captain, I think we need to see what Dr. Hamilton found." The main screen changed to show Dr. Hamilton's face. The scientist looked tired and scared. "Captain Elias, we have been Studying the metal pieces. The results are very bad. Show us, Elias said. The screen changed again. Now it showed pictures of the metal pieces up close. They looked smooth and clean, like they had been cut by the sharpest knife in the universe. These pieces came from human ships, Dr. Hamilton explained. But they were not destroyed by weapons or explosions. Something took them apart piece by piece, right down to the smallest parts. It would take technology far beyond anything we have ever seen. Lieutenant Carter shook his head. Doctor, that is not possible. Nothing can take apart metal that perfectly. I thought the same thing, Dr. Hamilton replied. But the evidence is clear. Whatever did this can control matter itself. They can unmake things and remake them however they want. The bridge became very quiet. Every person there understood what this meant. Their enemy was not just stronger than humans. It was stronger than anything any of them could imagine. How long until we reach New Haven? Elias asked. 2 hours, sir, came the answer from the navigation station. Elias nodded. All ships, prepare for anything. We do not know what we will find there. The trip to New Haven felt longer than usual. The crew checked their weapons again and again. Some prayed quietly. Others wrote messages to families they might never see again. When they finally arrived, the sight made everyone stop talking. New Haven was still there. The cities looked normal, from space. The power plants were still running. The farms looked green and healthy. But something was very wrong. I am not reading any life signs, reported Lieutenant Carter. No people, no animals, not even any plants or bacteria. Dr. Hamilton's voice came over the radio. Captain, this is impossible. The scanners show buildings and machines, but no living things at all. It is like someone removed every piece of life from the entire planet. Commander Torres prepared a team to go down to the planet's surface. Sir, we need to see what happened down there. Be careful, Elias warned. Whatever did this might still be nearby. The landing team took a small ship down to New Haven's main city. The streets were empty but clean. Cars sat where people had left them. Shops were still open. Food was still fresh in the markets. But there were no people anywhere. Torres led her team to the government building in the center of town. Inside, they found computers still running and lights still on. In the main office, they discovered the personal log of Mayor Patricia Wells. The message was short and terrifying. Patricia's voice shook as she spoke. Day 3 of the attack. The ships came from nowhere. They do not look like any ships we have ever seen. They seem to be alive somehow. We tried to fight them, but our weapons had no effect. Now they are doing something to our people. They are not killing them. They are taking something from them. The life itself is being pulled out of everyone. I can feel it happening to me too. If anyone finds this message, warn Earth. Warn everyone. They are not conquerors. They are farmers, and we are the crop they came to harvest. The message ended. Torres felt cold fear run down her back. She called Captain Elias immediately. Sir, you need to hear this, she said. She played the mayor's message for everyone. When it finished, the radio was quiet for a long time. Finally, Dr. Hamilton spoke. Captain, my sensors are picking up movement at the edge of the solar system. Big ships. Many of them. Elias looked at his own sensors. 47 ships were approaching fast. They moved in ways that made no sense. They seemed to bend space around themselves. All teams, return to the ships immediately, Elias ordered. Torres, get your people out of there now. But it was too late. The alien ships arrived faster than anyone thought possible. They came out of dark space like hungry wolves. Their ships looked wrong somehow. They seemed to be made of metal and flesh mixed together. Captain, Lieutenant Carter said, his voice tight with fear. They are not trying to talk to us. They are just surrounding us. The alien ships formed a circle around the 3 human vessels. They moved with perfect coordination, like parts of one giant creature. Dr. Hamilton's voice crackled over the radio. Captain, these ships are partially alive. I am reading biological signatures mixed with machine technology. They are not just using advanced science. They are part of it. Elias watched the alien ships move closer. He could see strange lights pulsing along their hulls like heartbeats. Whatever these things were, they had been the ones destroying human colonies. And now they had found 3 more ships full of humans to harvest. "All hands to battle stations," Elias announced to his crew. "Charge all weapons, raise shields. If we are going to die here, we will make them work for it." But even as he gave the orders, Elias knew the truth. These aliens had technology that could take apart matter itself. They had destroyed 27 colonies without anyone even knowing how. 3 human ships would not be enough to stop them. Still, humans had never been good at giving up. If this was going to be their last fight, they would make it count. The alien ships began to glow brighter. Something was about to happen. Something that would change everything. Captain Morrison's voice came over the radio one last time. "Elias, whatever happens next, it has been an honor serving with you." "The honor was mine, Jake," Elias replied. Then the aliens attacked, and the real war began. The alien ships moved like living things through space. Captain Marcus Elias watched them on his screen and felt his skin crawl. They did not fly like normal ships. Instead, they seemed to swim through the darkness like fish in black water. "Count them again," Elias ordered. Lieutenant Alex Carter checked his sensors twice. 47 ships, sir. The biggest one is 10 times larger than our ship. The smallest ones are still bigger than Captain Morrison's destroyer." The alien vessels had surrounded the 3 human ships completely. They floated in perfect formation, waiting. Their hulls pulsed with strange light that reminded Elias of a heartbeat. Dr. Lisa Hamilton's voice came over the radio from her science ship. She sounded frightened but excited. "Captain, these ships are incredible. They are part machine and part living creature. I have never seen anything like them. Can we fight them?" asked Commander Helen Torres. Dr. Hamilton was quiet for a moment. "I do not think our weapons will work the same way against living ships, but we have to try." Captain Jake Morrison's voice cut through the radio static. "Elias, they are moving closer. I think they are getting ready to do something." The alien ships began to change. Parts of their hulls opened like flowers blooming. Strange devices came out of the openings. The devices looked like arms reaching toward the human ships. "All ships, prepare to fire," Elias commanded. "Target the biggest ship first." But before the humans could shoot, something impossible happened. Words appeared inside their minds. Not sounds they heard with their ears, but thoughts that were not their own. 3. Message was simple and terrifying. The aliens called themselves the Devourers. They had been watching humans for many years. They had studied human ships, human weapons, and human ways of thinking. Humans were young and weak, perfect for their needs. The missing colonies had not been destroyed. They had been harvested. Every living person had been drained of something the Devourers needed to survive. Now they had come for more. "They are in our heads," whispered Lieutenant Carter. "How are they in our heads?" Elias felt sick. The alien thoughts were cold and hungry. They looked at humans the way humans might look at cattle. Not as enemies to fight, but as food to be collected. "Fire all weapons," Elias shouted. "Hit them with everything we have." The 3 human ships opened fire at the same time. Energy beams and missiles flew toward the alien vessels. For a moment, hope filled the human crews. Their weapons were the best technology humans had ever built. But the alien ships did something strange. Instead of being damaged by the attacks, they seemed to learn from them. Where the energy beams hit, the alien hulls changed color and shape. The missiles exploded harmlessly against shields that grew stronger with each impact. "They are adapting," Dr. Hamilton reported with horror in her voice. "Every time we hit them, they change to defend against that exact type of attack." Captain Morrison tried a different approach. His destroyer fired a spread of different weapons, all at once. Some hit, but the alien ship just absorbed the energy and grew brighter. "This is not working," Morrison said. "They are learning faster than we can change our tactics." The alien ships began their own attack. Streams of energy reached out from their living hulls. But these were not normal weapons. When the energy touched the human ships, it did not explode or burn. Instead, it began to change the metal itself. "Hull breach on Deck 7, reported Chief Engineer Danny Rodriguez from deep inside the Resolute. "But sir, the breach is growing, by itself. The metal is turning into something else." Elias watched his ship's systems fail one by one. The aliens were not just attacking them, they were rewriting the very atoms that made up the human vessels. They were turning the ships into something they could digest. "Captain," Lieutenant Carter called out, "the Defiant is in trouble." Through the main window, Elias could see Morrison's ship. Parts of its hull were dissolving like sugar in water. But Morrison was not giving up. His ship turned toward the largest alien vessel and began to accelerate. Morrison's voice came over the radio one last time. "If they want to harvest us, they can have a taste of human explosives first." The Defiant flew straight at the alien command ship. Its engines burned at maximum power. Just before impact, Morrison fired every weapon he had left directly into his own engine core. The explosion was massive. It lit up space like a new star being born. The alien command ship was caught in the blast. For the first time, the humans saw one of the Devourer vessels take real damage. Parts of its living hull were torn away. Strange fluid leaked out into space, but the victory cost everything. The Defiant was gone, and Captain Morrison with it. The remaining alien ships pulled back from the explosion. They seemed confused, as if they had never seen anything die by choice before. Their formation broke apart for the first time. Dr. Hamilton's excited voice cut through the silence. "Captain, the explosion disrupted their biomechanical systems. When organic and machine parts are mixed together, they become vulnerable to certain types of energy feedback." Commander Torres understood immediately. "If we can cause the right kind of disruption, we might be able to damage them." Elias looked at his dying ship. Half the systems were offline. Most of his crew was dead or dying. But Morrison's sacrifice had given them something precious: hope. "Hamilton, what do you need to make this work?" he asked. "I need to get close to their command ship," she replied. "Close enough to scan their biomechanical integration patterns. Then I can create a resonance weapon that will turn their own living technology against them." It was a desperate plan. Dr. Hamilton's science ship had almost no weapons and weak shields. Getting close to the alien command ship would be suicide. "I will draw their attention," Elias decided. "Torres, take a team and help Hamilton prepare her weapon. We have one chance to make this work." The alien ships were recovering from their confusion. They began to move toward the two remaining human vessels with renewed hunger. Their hulls pulsed faster now, like hearts beating with excitement. Elias looked at his crew. These people had trusted him to lead them into the unknown. Now most of them would die in the next few minutes. But maybe, just maybe, their deaths would save the human colonies that remained. "All hands," he announced over the ship's communication system. "Today we learned that humans are not alone in the universe. We also learned that our neighbors want to eat us." Some of the crew laughed despite their fear. "But they made one mistake," Elias continued. "They forgot that humans have never been good at being prey. Today, we show them what happens when you try to harvest the species that crawled out of Earth's darkest places and decided the stars were not high enough." The Resolute turned toward the alien fleet. Its damaged engines roared with the last of their power. Behind it, Dr. Hamilton's science ship prepared to make the most important discovery in human history. The final battle was about to begin. The Resolute flew straight toward the alien fleet like a wounded animal charging its hunters. Captain Marcus Elias gripped his chair as enemy fire hit his ship from all sides. The hull shook and metal screamed, but they kept flying forward. "Shields, down to 10%, reported Lieutenant Alex Carter. His voice stayed calm even though sweat ran down his face. "Hull breaches on decks 3, 5, and 9. Behind them, Dr. Lisa Hamilton's science ship Discovery stayed hidden in the shadow of a dead moon. She was working frantically to build a weapon from the quantum device they had found on New Haven. It was their only hope of fighting back. "How much time do you need, Hamilton?" Elias called over the radio. 5 more minutes, came her reply. "Maybe 10. The device has to be modified to target biomechanical systems instead of pure organic matter. Elias looked at his tactical display. The alien ships were closing in from every direction. Their living hulls pulsed with hungry light. 5 minutes might as well be 5 hours. Carter, target their weapon systems. Make them think about defending themselves instead of chasing Hamilton. The Resolute's remaining guns fired at the nearest Devourer ship. The energy beams hit its hull and caused ripples to spread across the living metal. The alien vessel turned its attention to Elias, just as he had hoped. Commander Helen Torres ran onto the bridge. Her uniform was torn, and she had blood on her face. "Captain, we lost Engineering Deck 6. Chief Rodriguez is dead. We are running on emergency power only." More alien ships surrounded them. Their biomechanical hulls opened like giant mouths. Strange devices emerged, reaching toward the human ship with movements that looked far too much like feeding. "Sir," Carter said quietly, "I am reading massive energy buildup in their weapons. They are preparing to harvest us." Elias nodded. He had expected this. The Devourers were not trying to destroy his ship quickly. They wanted to drain the life from his crew slowly, the same way they had harvested the missing colonies. "All crew to the center of the ship," he ordered. "Stay away from the outer hulls. Whatever these things do, it works better when they are close to living beings." The first harvesting beam hit the Resolute's port side. Where the energy touched the hull, the metal began to change. It became soft and permeable, like skin instead of armor. Through the changed metal, Elias could feel something trying to reach inside the ship. Something cold and hungry that wanted to touch his mind. "Fighting it," whispered Carter. He held his head in his hands. "Something is trying to get inside my thoughts." Other crew members fell to their knees. The harvesting energy was designed to drain life force directly from living beings. It bypassed all physical defenses and attacked the soul itself. But humans had learned to fight things that attacked the mind. Generations of soldiers had faced fear, pain, and death. They had developed ways to protect their thoughts when everything else failed. "Think about home," Elias shouted to his crew. "Think about the people you love. Think about why we are here." The simple trick worked better than any advanced technology. When the crew focused on protecting others instead of themselves, the harvesting beam became less effective. The aliens had studied human bodies and human machines, but they did not understand human hearts. Dr. Hamilton's voice cut through the static. "Captain, the weapon is ready, but I need to get within 50 meters of their command ship. The resonance effect will not work at longer range." 50 meters was suicide distance. The alien command ship was surrounded by smaller vessels, all bristling. With harvesting weapons, no ship could survive getting that close. "Understood," Elias replied. "We will clear you a path." He turned to his remaining crew. 12 people were left alive on the bridge. All of them were wounded. All of them knew they were about to die. "Torres, take the engineering team and overload our power core. When I give the signal, shut down all safety systems and feed everything into the forward shields." "Sir, that will destroy the ship," Torres said. "I know," Elias replied. "Carter, target the 3 alien ships between us and the command vessel. We are going to ram them." The young lieutenant looked up from his station. "Captain, ramming will not damage their biomechanical hulls enough to matter." "It will if our power core explodes at the same time," Elias explained. "Hamilton, when you see our ship explode, you will have exactly 30 seconds before the alien fleet recovers. Make them count." The Resolute turned toward the alien command ship. Its damaged engines screamed with effort, but the ship began to accelerate. The alien vessels moved to intercept, not understanding what the humans were planning. "Torres, is the power core ready?" Elias asked. "Ready, sir. All safety systems disabled. We have maybe 2 minutes before it goes critical." "Hamilton, are you in position?" "Moving to attack position now," came her voice. "Captain, it has been an honor serving with you." "The honor was mine, Doctor." The Resolute flew between 2 Devourer ships. Their harvesting beams reached out like grasping hands, but the human ship was moving too fast to be caught. Pieces of the hull were torn away, but the ship's heart kept beating. 30 seconds to ramming speed, Carter announced. Through the main window, Elias could see the alien command ship growing larger. Its biomechanical hull was covered in what looked like veins and arteries. At its center was a massive opening that pulsed like a giant heart. That was where Dr. Hamilton would need to aim her weapon. 10 seconds, Carter said. All crew, brace for impact, Elias ordered. 5 seconds. Elias thought about the human colonies that had been harvested. Families, torn apart. Children who would never grow up. Entire worlds left empty and silent. Now, Torres, give them everything we have. Commander Torres pressed the final switch. Every safety system on the ship shut down at once. All of the Resolute's power flowed into the forward shields and the overloading reactor core. The collision was like a small star exploding. The Resolute struck the alien command ship at full speed with its power core going critical. The explosion tore through both vessels and sent shockwaves across the entire alien fleet, but the most important effect was invisible. The explosion created exactly the kind of energy feedback that Dr. Hamilton needed. The biomechanical systems in the alien ships began to fail as their own living technology turned against them. From her hidden position, Dr. Hamilton fired the quantum resonance weapon into the heart of the explosion. The device worked perfectly, sending waves of destructive energy through every devourer ship in the fleet. One by one, the alien vessels began to tear themselves apart. Their biomechanical hulls writhed in pain as organic and machine components fought each other. Strange fluid leaked from their wounds as they died in the cold of space. But victory had cost everything. The Resolute was gone. Captain Elias and his crew were dead. Of the 3 ships that had come to investigate New Haven, only Dr. Hamilton's science vessel remained. She sat alone on her bridge, surrounded by the wreckage of 2 fleets. The silence of space felt different now. For the first time in months, it felt safe. "This is Dr. Hamilton of the science vessel Discovery," she broadcast on all frequencies. "I am transmitting data about the alien threat to all human worlds. We have learned how to fight them. But the cost was everything." She looked at the floating pieces of the Resolute and whispered a prayer for Captain Elias and his crew. They had warned the Council, and the Council had not listened. But their sacrifice had given humanity the knowledge it needed to survive. The war against the Devourers was just beginning. But now, humans knew they could win. Dr. Lisa Hamilton's science ship Discovery limped through space toward Harmony Prime Station. The journey took 3 weeks. Her ship was badly damaged, and she was the only person left alive from the mission. But she carried something more valuable than her own life. She carried the knowledge of how to fight the Devourers. The docking bay at Harmony Prime was crowded when she arrived. News of the battle had reached the station ahead of her. Ships from 12 different worlds waited to hear her report. Kriki, same council that had ignored Captain Elias, now wanted to know everything. Hamilton walked slowly through the metal halls. Her legs were weak from weeks alone in space. Her clothes were torn and dirty, but her eyes burned with purpose. She carried a small device that held all the data from the battle, the proof that Captain Elias had been right about everything. The council meeting room was packed. Every seat was filled. Aliens who had seemed bored 3 months ago now leaned forward with worry. The comfortable world they had known was gone forever. Ambassador Cathara of the Zentari stood up when Hamilton entered. Her bird-like face showed fear for the first time. "Dr. Hamilton, we are glad you survived. Please tell us what happened." Hamilton walked to the center of the room. She was tired and sad, but her voice was strong. "Captain Marcus Elias tried to warn you. You did not listen. Now he is dead along with Captain Morrison and over 300 other humans, but their sacrifice taught us how to fight." She activated her device. Pictures filled the air above the room. They showed the alien ships with their biomechanical hulls. They showed the harvesting weapons that could drain life itself. They showed the explosion that had destroyed both fleets. "These are the Devourers," Hamilton continued. "They have been hunting us for years. They study their prey before they attack. They learn our weaknesses. They know exactly how to disable our defenses and harvest our people. Counselor Vex of the Kalari spoke with a shaking voice. Doctor, how many ships do they have? How many of our worlds are in danger? All of them, Hamilton replied. The fleet we fought was just a hunting party. There are more out there. Many more. They have been preparing for a full harvest of human space. The room became very quiet. Some aliens whispered prayers in their own languages. Others checked their communication devices, probably calling their homeworlds with warnings. But we learned something important, Hamilton said. She pressed another button on her device. New pictures appeared, showing the quantum resonance weapon in action. Their biomechanical technology can be turned against them. When we disrupt the connection between their organic and machine parts, their ships tear themselves apart. She showed them the data from the battle, how the weapon worked, how it could be built, how humans had found a way to fight back against an enemy that seemed impossible to defeat. Ambassador Cathera leaned forward. Doctor, this weapon, can it be mass-produced? Can we build enough to defend our worlds? Yes, Hamilton said. But it will take time and resources. And most importantly, it will take cooperation between all our worlds. Over the next few hours, Hamilton explained everything. The council listened with growing horror and determination. They voted to create a new military command structure. They agreed to share technology and resources. They approved massive funding for weapon production. But the most important change was in how they thought about humans. The species they had dismissed as paranoid and weak had faced an impossible enemy and found a way to win. The same humans they had ignored were now their best hope for survival. Captain Marcus Elias was promoted to admiral, even though he was dead. His name was put on the first new ship built to fight the Devourers. The council declared him a hero of all the galactic worlds. 3 months later, Dr. Hamilton stood on the bridge of the new ship Vengeance. She was no longer just a scientist. The council had made her the leader of the new human defense force. Around her, dozens of ships waited for orders. All of them carried quantum resonance weapons. Commander Helen Torres had survived the battle somehow. She had been rescued from the wreckage of the Resolute barely alive. Now she served as Hamilton's second in command. Her face still bore scars from the fight, but her eyes were hard with determination. Doctor, Torres reported. We are receiving distress calls from the Rigel sector. 3 more colonies have gone silent. Same pattern as before. Hamilton nodded. She had been expecting this. The Devourers would not give up easily. They had been hunting for too long to stop now. But this time, humans were ready for them. Signal the fleet, Hamilton ordered. All ships prepare for jump to hyperspace. It is time to show these Devourers what happens when they try to harvest the children of Earth. The fleet moved through space like a pack of wolves. 50 ships, all armed with weapons designed to turn the aliens' own technology against them. For the first time since the crisis began, humans were not running away. They were hunting the hunters. When they arrived at Rigel, they found the Devourer fleet waiting for them. 40 alien ships hung in space around the newest victim colony. Their biomechanical hulls pulsed with hungry anticipation. They had come to harvest another world full of humans. But this time the humans brought more than desperate courage. They brought knowledge. They brought weapons that could kill ships that seemed unkillable. Most importantly, they brought the memory of Captain Elias and everyone who had died to learn the truth. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, every Devourer ship was destroyed. Not one human vessel was lost. The quantum resonance weapons worked perfectly, turning the aliens' greatest strength into their greatest weakness. As Hamilton watched the alien wrecks floating in space, she thought about the man who had started it all. Captain Elias had tried to warn the council about a threat they could not understand. They had not listened until it was almost too late, but his sacrifice had not been wasted. Humanity had learned that the universe was more dangerous than they had ever imagined. They had also learned that they were strong enough to face that danger and win. Commander Torres, Hamilton said, send a message to all human worlds. Tell them the Devourers have been defeated here. Tell them we know how to fight them now. And tell them that Captain Marcus Elias was right about everything. Torres smiled for the first time since the battle at New Haven. Yes, sir. What should we do next? Hamilton looked out at the stars. Somewhere in that darkness, more enemies might be waiting, more threats to human families and human worlds, but humans were no longer the frightened prey they had once been. We keep hunting, she said. We make sure nothing like the Devourers ever threatens human space again. We become the protectors our people deserve. The fleet turned toward home, carrying news of victory and the promise that humanity would never again face the darkness alone. Captain Elias had warned them and they had not listened in time, but they were listening now.